I don't know, I might be a little bit biased, but maybe if she would spend more time actually filling orders instead of attacking people on social media, she might already be caught up. If you are like, oh girl, how you just gonna start off that YouTube video that way? And you're wondering what I'm talking about. Well, babies, it is time for us to go ahead and do our update on Nerida the Scammer, aka Nerida Hansen. So buckle up. This is going to be quite a bumpy ride. Why? Because since the last time that we've talked about Nerida, there has been a lot going on. In fact, I was over here minding my business on the internet when I received multiple DMs from people. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that she's calling you out like this, Bob. Because again, I was minding my business on the internet, and Nerida went and posted this here. Let's just make sure that that stays up for a second so you can read it. Again, what was Aaronica doing? Minding her business. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump in with what has been going on with Nerida Hansen. Now, I do have my handy dandy, oh, where did it go? Here it is, iPad. So you already know that research has been done, which means that we will be referring to the research that is in hand throughout this here YouTube video. And I have to do that in order for me to keep on track, as well as for me to keep up with what's going on, because again, I've been minding my business on the internet. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into first, which is a little bit of backstory, a little bit of back timeline on Nerida Hansen and her businesses, because I do feel like we need to take a look at her history before we take a look at what has been going on lately. So we're going back as far as 2008. Yes. Now listen, in my last video about Nerida, I do know that I had shared that I had been reached out from quite a few people letting me know that this most recent business issue is not the first time that she's run into issues, but that this has actually been a long-standing issue for her. She had done something like, let's see, she had done something with some kind of surfer boards or something or other that also went under, and that sort of thing. So in 2008, she launched a sporting apparel line for both men and women. And then in 2013, she entered a licensing industry deal through a role at Target Australia, collaborating with brands like Disney and Warner Brother. Wow, big time, right? Then in 2017, there was the establishment of Nerida Hansen Fabrics. She founded her namesake company, and she focused on digitally printed textiles and collaborations with independent artists. This brand gained popularity, obviously, because of its vibrant designs, as well as its commitment to supporting artists. Now, let me pause here because this is something I stand behind. And in my last video, I was just like, I think that Nerida has really fantastic ideas, to which maybe she disagreed with me. I don't know, but she's telling people that my videos are hogwash, so we'll see. But again, I love this whole idea, or even this whole notion behind raising independent artists and giving them a platform to grow on. I thought that was really fantastic, and again, great idea, Nerida. And I love that that was, I guess, at the forefront, but the follow through and execution just wasn't there. Then there was the introduction of Future Folk Designs in 2020. This is where she went ahead and expanded into children's products, offering prints, decals, stickers, labels, etc. Again, this whole business was aimed at diversifying her product offerings beyond fabrics. We also, of course, saw her do sewing patterns under Future Folk Fabrics, different from Future Folk Designs, in 2023. But in 2021 is when she launched in the Patternfield app. Listen, I don't want to deep dive, but we're going to go ahead and also talk about the Patternfield app, because I do actually feel like that's where a lot of the independent artists ended up getting screwed. And this app was supposed to be something that connected, think of it almost like an Etsy, just for surface pattern designers. So you could go on there, and I actually subscribe to something that's called creativemarket.com. I love it because that's where if you design templates, if you design Procreate brushes, that sort of thing, it's in essence a marketplace that is for designers to meet their potential clients or their clients, right? And after you meet them or you fall in love with their aesthetic, you can absolutely make deals with them off of Creative Market. But Patternfield app was supposed to be something along those lines, where she was having surface design artists come on, showcase their designs, meet their potential artists, their potential clients, and then they could buy the the clients or the customers could buy the licenses from the artists themselves, and thus making that connection. Love that. It was a digital marketplace for artists to showcase and license their work, which again, I love that idea. I think it's so fantastic, right? Because if you are a pattern creator or a fabric creator and no one's really checking for you because you don't know where to put your work out to go ahead and meet people who actually legit want to use your designs to create fabrics, she created the answer for you. Or so we thought, because that actually never launched. And then in 2024, she launched Kind merch, and that was the end of 2024 when, of course, all of the current issues emerged. So let's go back to the Patternfield app, because I did share that this was the app that really caused a lot of uproar. Now, getting the truth about what happened with Patternfield is a little difficult because my understanding is that there is still some legal stuff that is going on. So the people who were involved with Patternfield, aka the artists, they are not at liberty to fully discuss what has happened with them going on with that. So I will not be able to name names or anything along those lines. What I will say is that there was an anonymous post that was made in the Facebook group that is Nerida Hansen needs to deliver her products to her customers, where one of the artists who was part of the Patternfield app before it went into administration, she was a creditor and she never received any of the money that she was owed, as there were many large companies and institutions that were before her as far as going in and requesting refunds of their initial investments. Now, I've heard that the investments into the app were anything from $150 that the artist had to make upwards of that. Now, that is bananas outside of pajamas. Why? Because these people had to pay in order to get in and they did not receive what they paid for, which was an app that was going to connect them with potential buyers of their designs, ultimately making it so that they were out that money. So what I will say is that every single step, right, people have been claiming that Nerida owes them money, whether they worked for her, whether they were artists, or whether they were customers. And I'm seriously wondering what is going on. Where is the money going? That sort of thing. But we're not going to stop there just yet. There's somebody who was in the group who actually put together a really great timeline of events that has happened. She sent me a link to it. So let's go ahead and deep dive down that timeline about where we are now and why she owes so many people money, and more importantly, what she's been doing, the communication she's been sending out, and more importantly, the lack of money she's been sending out. So before we actually get into too many other things, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Nerida Hansen has essentially gone mute online as of late. She shut down websites after leaving cryptic messages again, including the one that named both myself as well as Mary O'Connor on her Instagram. It's been taken down. But I tell you what, there is no one who can find out what's going on. The internet sleuths or the craftists who you have stolen from. I swear we could actually take over for the FBI, CIA, MI6, etc. Why? Because the people are going to find out what is going on. So what has been happening since Nerida has gone mum on the internet? Well, for starters, she sold a house, and let's hope that she sold this house and is going to be able to, I don't know, maybe refund some of the people who she owes money to. As of literally a couple of days ago, someone has posted in the Nerida Hansen needs to deliver products to her customer group, asking if there's a working email address for Nerida Hansen Fabrics, because I'm still missing fabric and I haven't heard from them. At this stage, I don't care if I get fabric or a refund. Y'all, that was 5 days ago. Babe, if you were still out here placing orders, I'm like, when was this order placed? Because what? You guys, I gotta be honest, I don't think that she's going to get anything back at this juncture. So let's talk about it. And I gotta be honest, this is not gonna be like one of those previous videos where I gave her business advice, because again, I was minding my business on the internet. I didn't even want to do an update, but apparently she wanted an update that was done because she pulled me back in. So let's do that. Let's take a look at what's been happening since, say, January of this year, and then we'll talk about it. You guys, I had to go back and take a look at when I did my last update about her, and it was in October of last year. October. We are now in April, and shenanigans have been shenaniganing. And so one of the things, and I was trying to get access to this spreadsheet. I don't know if I'm gonna get access by the time this is done, but what I wanted to just very briefly do is just go ahead and talk about some high level things, right? So again, I did my review or rather not my review, but I did my YouTube update and I published that, let's see, YouTube. I did my update on 10/31, Halloween, because it was definitely scary. So after that, we saw in November, she was like, oh, I'm going to be deleting my online presence, right? And so she did a temporary delete. Then she released a statement to the world on November 4th or November, she released a statement basically cursing everybody out. But just for funsies, let's go ahead and read that statement. In this statement, we think that she's gathering that she's responsible for this and maybe she should stop blaming, I don't know, everyone else for the fact that she was taking online orders, not filling them, keeping the money, and not sending out fabrics, right? So statement from Nerida Hansen on November 4th. I want to acknowledge and take full responsibility for the valid concerns of customers who are disappointed with late deliveries and a lack of communication about their orders. My small business has been overwhelmed for some months, and I recognize the impact this has had on my organizational capacity, my ability to adhere to production schedules, and most importantly, my capacity to communicate clearly with you. While I have made efforts to improve processes and communication, these efforts have been hampered in recent weeks by a significant increase in communication arising from rumors that Nerida Hansen Fabrics will be closing down. Please rest assured that I have no intention of closing the business and that I have worked so hard on for many years. Any statements circulating on social media to that effect are ill-founded and have likely arisen from my poor communication. I recently advised my customers that I intended to rebrand from Nerida Hansen Fabrics to Future Folk. In hindsight, the messaging around this change was confusing to many. I apologize for any confusion it caused. I will no longer be rebranding this name or website. I would also like to retract, I would also like to retract my comment of canceling any customer orders without notice or communication. As many customers still wish to receive their fabrics, I will ensure all orders are in place, and where customers would like refunds, they can activate the request by emailing info@neridahansen.com. That email I don't think works anymore. I'm a dedicated and passionate member of our broader community and pride myself in producing affordable fabrics with fabulous designs. They're not really affordable. The business side of doing business is not my strong suit, and in an attempt to reduce overheads and simplify my business, over recent times, I have taken on much of the doing business myself. To improve this situation, I have engaged the support of Partners in Wellbeing, an agency dedicated to helping small businesses with business planning, mental health support, and financial management. My immediate priorities are to get ready fabric shipped to waiting customers, continue production of fabric so I can fulfill outstanding orders, and process refunds as soon as I possibly can. Partners in Wellbeing will also support me to create a sustainable communication approach and put measures in place to rectify my mistakes. This will include working with legal and financial regulatory bodies to ensure full compliance of the business in all aspects. Once I establish a robust and sustainable way to communicate effectively, I will reach out to customers individually. In the meantime, I will use this platform to keep everyone updated. Please do not misconstrue my poor business management for maliciousness or ill intent. I thank you for your continued patience and understanding, Nerida. Let's talk about this statement real quick. So within this statement, there are a couple of things that I see. One, good on her for taking full responsibility in November of last year, right? Because here's the thing. The truth of the matter is that it is her responsibility. If she's unable to deliver when she said that she's going to be able to deliver, or did not place the orders when they were supposed to go through, or mismanaged the funds, that's on her to communicate that to her customers so that they can make a decision that works best with them. For the record, it's not just consumers like myself that were ordering fabrics. There were also businesses that were ordering fabrics for things like Christmas pre-orders, for things like bags, clothing, etc., that people had already paid for, which means that the businesses that did not receive the fabrics that they had ordered took losses from their businesses. There were statements that had been made by some of the businesses. I will look at those screenshots because they were sent to me as well. And I feel really bad for them. But let's continue. Love that she's taking some semblance of responsibility. And I say some semblance because she's still kind of putting it on other people. Now, she did say that she was going to email each of the individual customers that were outstanding. Y'all, that's like the customers. It was really rare that people were like, oh, yay, I got my order, which means that a good portion of those customers are the people who she's going to have to reach out to talk to. And I don't know if that's possible. There's a lot of people. And as of April 16th, when I'm recording this, I doubt that that's been happening. Okay. She also referenced with Partners in Well-Being. I'm not sure if they're still working because, again, this email was sent on November 3rd and it was put up on her website on November 4th. And things have been crickets for at least a month. Okay. So let's continue on with the timeline. We're going to keep our party going. Okay. So after that November, saying that she was deleting her presence and then made that statement, there was also a newspaper article that said, "Business not my strong suit." Now, if you're on Reddit, then you probably have already seen this. This was published on an outlet called glongadvertiser.com. And they did a little bit of a deep dive into what's been going on with Nerida and her business. Let's see if we can find that article and read that too. Okay, so they're charging to take a look at this article, but the actual title on like the Facebook post says, "Heads businesswoman Nerida Hansen, whose previous company went into liquidation owing $1.1 million to creditors, has been accused of not delivering products." Y'all, owing $1.1 million in a bankruptcy is crazy. And then to come back and reopen again, bananas in pajamas. This is one of the wildest things to me because I just simply do not understand how this could be. Because let me tell y'all something, a Black-owned business could never. When I tell you that a Black-owned business, had they done this, we would have been ripped to shreds and never been able to be seen from again. Because literally everyone would be on some, oh, well, this is the reason why I don't support Black-owned businesses. I digress, whatever. We're still supporting these Australian businesses because small businesses deserve support, okay? And that's as simple as it gets. Everyone makes mistakes, and we can absolutely people who are gonna go ahead and actually take responsibility for what their shortcomings. So now I have this article, a free version to read. So let's look at that. Bar One Heads businesswoman who previously went into liquidation owing $1.1 million to creditors, has been accused of not delivering products. Nerida Hansen, owner of Nerida Hansen Fabrics, has taken responsibility for late deliveries and a lack of communication regarding her fabrics business. She conceded that she has been overwhelmed for months. "I recognize the impact this has had on my organizational capacity, my ability to adhere to production schedules, and most importantly, my capacity to communicate clearly with you," she said via her website on Monday. The statement came after disgruntled customers quickly flocked to a Facebook group called Nerida Hansen Needs to Deliver Products to Her Customers, which quickly gathered more than 560 members. Y'all, it's up to over 1,800 members now. Scott Anderson of Worlds was appointed liquidator of her previous company in May 2022, according to Australian Securities Investments Commission, so ASIC documents. The company owed $550,000 to a secured creditor and $672,999,000 to 22 unsecured creditors, the document states. That's over $1 million. We're close to like $1.2 million, okay? 1 month later, Ms. Hansen registered her current Nerida Hansen Fabrics. So let me let that sink in for one quick second, right? The company that was almost $1.2 million in the kicker, we registered on May 15th, 2023. In June of 2023, she registered her current business, which means that she filed bankruptcy. That got written off. And so she was just like, cool story. I'm just going to go ahead and start all over again. And just this week, this was in November of 2024, she registered a new business called the Kind Merch Company, according to Ms. Hansen's Australian business number status. One disgruntled customer questioned her own judgment after placing an order after previously waiting for more than a year for her product. "I'm still waiting on a simple reply and have had no response. It's easy to assume that I won't receive my fabric, especially after seeing all of her strange posts on social media blaming everyone and not taking any responsibility. Another customer has waited more than a year for her order to be filled. A year is crazy." The same customer said she had ordered fabric from Ms. Hansen without issue in the past, but her excuses had become increasingly hard to bear. Sarah Patterson, a customer of Ms. Hansen in 2020, said the date she was supposed to receive the goods kept getting pushed back. "It kept happening over and over again," she said. It would just keep changing, and constantly I was being told, I've got your fabric, it's coming. And then you would sort of go, okay, I'll give her another week. And again, it wouldn't come. Miss said she did not receive a full refund. Now, Nerida Hansen has said that she will issue full refunds to people. That is what her statement said. This person did not get a full refund. Oh, I'm sorry. It says she did receive a full refund. Another client said she didn't buy into the recent witch hunt and would continue to purchase from Miss Hansen. Bananas. Okay, in her online statement, Miss Hansen admitted the business side of was not her strong suit. She said all orders were in place and customers could request a refund if they wished. Miss Hansen, whose business has about 103 Instagram followers, which is bananas, said efforts to improve communication and processes had been hampered in recent weeks due to rumors that Nerida Hansen Fabrics would be closing down. So when contacted by the Geelong Advertiser this week, Miss Hansen's information that you are citing upon and reflecting upon is misinformation. It vastly lies and has done irrefutable damage to I think that it's really, really wild that what's done damage to her, or she's citing the damage to her business, is people saying, hey, by the way, I am still waiting on my fabric or a refund, right? And I think that's bananas, because like, how is that going to be what caused your business? Caused the big issue for your business was you taking orders and then not filling them. Let's call a spade, right? There was another YouTube video that I'll make sure I put the links for that so that you all can deep dive into that if you would like to. Then the Sewing Chronicle released, and that's in the UK, released year of unfulfilled orders. A year of unfulfilled orders. Right. A few Reddit posts, which I will not get into because I feel like I can go onto Reddit to take a look at that. There is quite a deep dive down Reddit, and I highly recommend, because again, while crap snark can be kind of hard to read if you are the target of whatever is being snarked upon, but I will also say that there's a level of truth that the Redditors on craft snark bring, and it's uninhibited, right? Because they're not holding back, which you can either take with a grain of salt and receive whatever words they're saying and make yourself better, or you can be butthurt about it and not do anything about it, okay? I think that the bigger thing is that during this, right, there have been so many posts by Nerida that are still advertising fabrics that are also talking smack about people on the internet, right? And so there was the Instagram post that was done by Nerida Hansen, and she blocked me, but it's okay. I've got sock accounts. Where she again was pointing fingers at everyone else, saying that this group exists, that's the reason why she wasn't able to get out, the federal, etc. She goes on to talk about how she has been a victim of cyberbullying, about how then I think that my favorite one though was when she go get fucked. Let's read that statement just for fun. Let's go over this statement. And this was actually a Instagram statement, so I will also make sure that you all can see the images here as well. So what she posted was a picture of herself, which is seen here, pointing up her middle finger and saying that all of her Facebook fogies can get effed. Okay, we're using some of those words. And this, of course, is why I was called out. Customers want to know where your order or refund is. Why don't you ask my internet bully? And she's talking about a woman who is super kind and only has spoken the truth. And she was also the one who's Facebook group. After the latest immature sick prank by Lady Keyboard Warriors, I have lost my ish. After 5 months of trauma, I now refuse to be a victim of Meta's inhumane community standards policy and complete lack of justice for adults who were defamed and abused on social media in Australia. If you can't get a hold of the person who started the group on one of her hundreds of moronic social media posts, moronic I feel like is definitely a elitist term, but whatever. If I didn't recoil from the spiritual of her presence, I would ask her, why did you and me, Aaronica, and the UK Sewing Chronicles publish so much ish without doing your due diligence as publishers? Why do people like you spend all day on Facebook stirring misery for others? Why did you allow someone to call a client and label me a fraud when it was a solution to help your cause of delivering to my customers? Why don't you appear to have empathy? Did you not care that you were shaming me within my own community? Didn't you acknowledge the magistrate in Geelong courts when he had to explain that you should acknowledge that your words can hurt others even if you think they shouldn't. And don't you know, his words are on public record. If I could stomach even looking at her, I would tell her that women pushing other women to their emotional and financial limit through Facebook and Reddit is appalling way to apply your outrage. I would tell her that I know that I messed up last year, but the problems with my customers were mine to sort out. And there are many organizations set up in Australia to help protect consumer rights. I would say, yes, I saw your veil as the people's advocate, but if you're truly caring for my customers, then why did you engage in and condone toxic, unfair judgments of my personality and mock the state of my mental health? Why? And then I would realize that even though I have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of a shop that could never open, even though I have and continue to be bullied, abused, harassed, and monitored, even though I lost all my confidence, resilience, productivity, and temporarily lost my mental wellness, I've never lost any of the love in my life. At the end of the day, love is all that matters. That love isn't just from family and friends, much of that has been spread by customers who are there with me. For those of you who don't have any love for me anymore, I have never lost sight of my obligations under Section 259 of the Australian Consumer Law Act, and I will not give up my obligations to you. I would just like to declare, she would just like to declare how I am using Darvo. I mean, what even the F is that? And mimic her mob. I should have done this better. And when I was in business, it wasn't hard, and it doesn't mean I let my customers down. Oh yes, her mob knows exactly what it's like to be a world famous fabric entrepreneur existing in a misogynistic hell where you are gaslit and ripped off at every turn. Oh yes, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But then I would walk away feeling that healthy, happy adults don't spend hours on Facebook and Reddit putting other people down. And I would realize that it was their misery that brought mine. And why did you, okay, so listen, it's long. It's very long. I will definitely put a link up. But ultimately, it is a diatribe of her, again, blaming everyone else and putting the onus of responsibility on everyone besides herself, right? Here's the thing. One, it doesn't take hours on Facebook to share about your negative experience with someone who owes you money. It doesn't take hours. Why? Because each one of the people who spent money with her know exactly how much they spent, know exactly when those orders were placed, and know exactly how many emails that they have received from her. It doesn't take hours to do that, right? And the truth is that people were for her. Everyone was rooting for her success until they realized that we were getting scammed again. And the truth of the matter is that this is a consistent business practice for her, as was evidenced by the fact that she owed over $1.1 million to creditors that she never paid. And yes, she can have that written off and have all of those creditors paid, but what about the customers? She's had customers who have been waiting for fabrics to be delivered to her for over a year, and that was last year. We are in 2025 now, and they were saying in 2024 how they've been owed fabric. And it is other people's business. Why? Because why would I refer someone to buy and support her business? She has poor business practices, right? Within the community, we have no idea what people are buying fabrics for. Like I referenced earlier, there are small businesses that are purchasing from her if they could have her fabrics and support her business while supporting their own businesses. And now they are the ones who have lost out the money. She will be made whole when she files for bankruptcy. The rest of them will not. I received my full refund, which is the reason why I'm myself in those who are waiting for refunds or waiting for fabric, because I received mine. I received my full refund after my first video went live. And I think that the only reason why is she saw that I did a video, right? But what about other people? And I feel like that's the greater concern. When you are a girl's girl, as she's referencing, right? You want to see not just succeed, but you also want to see women made whole. And she's robbing from women. She's talking about how women should be supporting women when her customer base is women who she's been robbing from and then blaming everyone else, as opposed to staying true to what it is she should be working on, which of course is in fact processing these orders. The fact of the matter is that she didn't place the orders. We've heard from her distributors in the group saying that she owed them money, which is the reason why they didn't send the fabrics, because she still owes them money. She was out there placing orders from these people, from these businesses for these fabrics, paying, and gotten to the point where she's now messed it up for unfortunately, other fabric retailers in the Australia area, right? Where now Distributors, or rather those fabric printers, are making them pay for things up front because they do not want to get scammed again. Unfortunately, this is not turning out the way that Nerida wanted it to. And I know that she wanted people to stop talking about it, but did she? Because she's still pulling people back in. Again, this hoping that telling us essentially to go and get fucked came out on March 22nd of 2025. Y'all, I hadn't talked about her since October of 2024, and yet my name is still on her tongue, right? And she's talking about how we spend hours on the internet and we spend hours on Reddit. We don't have to spend hours on Reddit. Why? Because everybody has something to say, which means that if 100 people get scammed, that means it's probably about a minute for each of us to go onto Reddit and talk about it. And there are multiple Reddit threads about it, right? And it's a problem. And I feel bad for her. And no one has mocked her health. No one has, right? Because we know that right now, everyone is navigating mental health issues. But instead of taking on more and putting more onto your plate, we're taking step backs. We're taking time away from the internet. We are not taking on more and filling our plates in a way that we can't deliver. I'm someone who thrives with ADHD. Am I a world-renowned fabric artist? I'm not. But I'm relatively known, right? I'm not good at that, but I know famous people and they still get the job done, right? What I will say is that no one mocks because everyone is mental health issues, right? So I will say that as of late, in fact, I was recently told that she sold her, she ended up selling her home. And I means that she's able to, of course, I do hope that means that she's able to either the refunds, get some of the fabric or something along those lines. But you guys, the fact of the matter is that not only is she lying to customers, stealing from customers, but she's also harassing people to the point where she went to court and filed an order of protection against Mary O'Connor. And that wasn't needed because Mary was not attacking her. Mary just started a group and shared with others what has been going on and given a platform to all of us to voice what has been going on because Nerida was deleting comments on her social media posts. So it made us feel like we were the only ones who were navigating this. But then once we got together in a group, we saw that it wasn't just us, right? It wasn't just me who was waiting on my refund. It wasn't just Mary waiting on her refund. It wasn't just this person. It wasn't just that person. But a lot of people are choosing to be anonymous because she's attacking them. And that is not fair. That's not right. That's not fair. As a business owner, your job is to deliver on what people have paid for. If not, just deliver the refund. And the beautiful thing about being a business owner is that you can pick and choose who it is that you want to be your customers. You can pick and choose when it is that you decide that you're doing business. You can pick and choose these things. And what she did was she chose to do business when she felt like her mental health needed a break, as opposed to taking the much needed mental health break that she did deserve and need, right? Hard for everyone. And I am not always abreast of what's going on overseas, specifically in Australia. So I don't know intimately what's happening there, but I do know that in the United States, we are dealing with quite a bit. And our businesses are also being impacted. Our lives are impacted. Our rights are being impacted, right? And can we hide behind that? No, because like I said, if this was a Black-owned business, if this was just a white woman-owned business in the United States, if this was just a minority-owned business in the United States, we would have sworn them off for good. Yet somehow, Nerida keeps getting chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. And with every chance, she points blame to other people as her failure. Now, one of the things that I will say is that Nerida has fantastic ideas. Like I said, with her Patternfield app, fantastic idea, right? Literally a field of patterns that people can choose to buy, purchase, make into wallpapers, into fabrics, into whatever it is that they wanted to make it. A genius idea. Her execution is where the problems are. And do I think that she should be permanently out of business? I don't, because she has great ideas. I do think that in the event that she goes into another business venture, that she does need help, that somebody else needs to be the face as well as the operations manager, as well as someone else to manage the finances, because that is just not her forte, right? Would I ever do business with her again? I answered that already. I definitely would not. I don't want to do business with someone who does not know how to take responsibility for their shortcomings, because if you can't take responsibility for shortcomings, then you're not going to be adamant about fulfilling those shortcomings and really making them your strengths. And for me, that's a big problem. We've seen Nerida point fingers time after time, blaming everything from Reddit to Facebook to Instagram to everything else and everyone else besides herself. We saw her take responsibility in a statement and then continue to point fingers. And guys, that is not how this works. We are adults. We are all navigating all of these things, and there are documents that back up other people's claims. It doesn't have anything to do with preference. It doesn't have anything to do with a mob. It doesn't have anything to do with wanting to target or see someone lose. No. When we are in this community of sewing, fabric, crafting, we love fabric. We want to see the fabric. That's all anybody wanted. I still want my fabric because I was like, listen, never mind. I digress. Because I'm still obviously mourning the loss of the fact that I'm not going to get the fabric. Everyone wants to see fabric retailers succeed. Why? Because the more fabric retailers that exist, the more places we can go to get our fabric fix. We wanted her to see success. We wanted to see those fabrics. We wanted those artists to be prints of the world. Why? Because we loved what they produced. We were rooting for her success. And some of her customers are still out there with success and are living in the land of Delulu. And while I too think that Delulu is the Salulu for navigating a lot of these situations, so the truth of the matter is that Nerida doesn't see anything wrong with what she has done. And because of that, she's not going to make a difference. This is a story that I do feel like needs to be picked up, not because she needs to be bullied or anything like that. I don't believe in bullying, and I don't believe that she should be receiving any kind of threats or anything like that. But I do think that people need to know, right? People, not only consumers need to know who they're getting in business with, but also lenders need to know who they're getting in business with, because there's another small business that is missing out on those funds because they chose to fund Nerida versus this other small business, which may or may not have stolen other people's money. So anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. I do sincerely hope that the people who are waiting and with bated breath for their do receive it, because y'all, those artists, fantastic. I do hope that all of the artists who were once associated with Nerida do find success on their own, because y'all, you guys are really talented. You have the ability to make beautiful, not just art, but fabrics for us to create beautiful garments with. And I do want to see you have success. If there's anything that I can do to help with that, if you would like for me to sew up any fabrics and highlight how beautiful they are, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, because again, I believe that because I do have a voice and I do have multiple platforms, it's my job to help uplift where I can and tell the truth in other moments like that. While this is not going to be one of those really, if I were Nerida, I would do this and give her any business advice, because I've already done that and she's already called me trash. I do hope that she watches this and possibly will get the fullness of how she's in other people. My heart goes out to the businesses that were negatively impacted and took a deep loss as a result of trying to do work with Nerida, as well as her business. And ultimately, I do hope that everyone gets fully restored from this situation. And I hope that we've also learned not to purchase from her again. Until next time, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for when my videos go live. But stay happy, stay sewing, and stay away from fraudsters.